And now it's time for Power of Prophecy with your host, former professor at the University of Texas at Austin, career United States Air Force officer, and best-selling author, Texe Mars.
Hello, friends. This is Texe Mars. Welcome to another edition of World of Prophecy, actually Power of Prophecy. You know, Jerry, that's the first time I've said that, made that mistake in many years. We used to be called World of Prophecy. And you know, there is a world of prophecy out there, but actually it's Power of Prophecy. Oh, I'll tell you, you know what? My head is so full of this book that I've been rereading again today by Victor Thorn, entitled 9/11 Evil. Man, on the cover it says the most dangerous 9/11 book ever written. We've got Victor Thorn on the line. I'm going to introduce him in just a minute to you, but I think that's what it is, Jerry. Jerry's my producer and engineer over here. I think it's, you know, in my head I got all this stuff. You get all these facts, and so sometimes it just doesn't, you know, fit. Something has to go the other way, you know. I wish I was more intelligent. Maybe I could get it all in one big little sock or something. But in any case, this book really has me fascinated because it coincides, Jerry, with everything that I've discovered over the years really happened with 9/11. And 9/11 is really the cardinal event in our lifetimes, you might say, for our generation. It really catapulted America into a whole new reality of evil, of big brotherism. But I want to talk with my guest about that. I don't want to say too much about it. Victor Thorn is his name. He's married to a very sweet lady, and they've been very kind enough to invite me on their radio program. He has a website, wingtv.net. By the way, Lisa Giuliani is Victor Thorn's wife and co-author of this book. They've done some fascinating things. They're both very brilliant people. And I think this book, you know, I was waiting for a book to come along, and I've only seen two. This is the first that I know of that actually exposed Israel's central role in the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. Was it 19 Arabs? Oh, yeah, sure. But Victor Thorn is here with me. Let me tell you a little about him. He's the founder of the World Independent News Group. You'll have to go on wingtv.net. That's wing, as in a bird's wing or an airplane wing, WING TV.net. He offers many books and videos and other things on that website that we don't offer. He's author of a couple of fascinating books on Hillary Rodham Clinton. Man, we're going to get into that a little bit later on too, because she seems to just want to keep hanging around. She's hoping that the Barack Obama will be assassinated, I guess, so she can have a chance at the nomination of the Democratic Party. Incredible things going on there. But Victor Thorn has written a 2-volume series of books exposing Hillary Clinton. And I think they're probably the best books written about Hillary. So we're going to tell you about those and how to get them a little bit later on the program. I'm going to tell you how to get this book. Now, this is the first time, dear friends, I've offered a book exposing Israel's role, and along with the Bush administration, and the rogue criminal elements in our own government, not all of our government, but just those criminal elements. And Victor Thorn wrote the first book. The first time I got it, I was very impressed with it. It's a book of facts and documented, and I appreciate that. Hey, Victor, welcome to Power of Prophecy.
Well, thanks for having me on, Texe, and it's an honor to be here.
You know, you were courageous enough to write, author, and publish this book. I think it's pretty amazing when you think about it. There's so much opposition. Now, do you remember when President Bush went to the United Nations, Victor, and he said we're not going to tolerate conspiracy theorists about 9/11, conspiracy theories?
Well, I absolutely remember that, and the entire government story is a conspiracy theory. He must have been telling us not to believe what he told us, because if you believe what the government told us about that event, the only thing they said the truth about was that the sun was shining that day, because everything else is a lie.
Yes, it sort of reminds me of a book I saw. I don't know really what it was about. I don't think it was about 9/11 at a B. Dalton bookstore. I looked at it and I was sort of curious. The title of it was "Hello, He Lied." You know, I mean, hello, he lied. He just starts off lying. Well, here's the thing about 9/11. I want your opinion on it. It seems that this is, as I said, the cardinal event. It's traumatized America, propelled us into this horrible new reality. Do you see 9/11 also as being the cardinal event, perhaps, of our lifetime?
Well, without a doubt, it is right now, and there's been so much that's happened since then. And really, at Wing TV, we were among other researchers who were bringing out the truth, including yourself, is that luckily that there are people out there that want to know what really happened that day. But I noticed, Tex, one thing was that as the years went by after 9/11, there was a lot of information coming out, a lot of truth coming out, but it seemed like there was a hesitance, not only, of course, in the mainstream media, who refused to tell the truth about anything, but also in this patriot movement, or the 9/11 truth movement. And let me liken it to this. Say that you left your house tonight on a trip, and you came back a couple days later and you found that your house had been broken into. Okay? Well, you call the police, they come to your door, and you start asking them questions. You say, who did this? Do you know who did this? And they said, well, there were two burglars. And you say, all right, well, who were they? And they say, well, they drove a brown Chevy Impala. And you say, all right, well, who were they? And they said, well, they broke in at 11:37 last night. They wore black clothes and blue caps. And he's like, all right, well, who were they? And he said, well, they made their getaway on Elm Street. And you say, all right, I know all of this information. Who did it? They say, we're not going to tell you who did it. Well, I started to notice the same thing in the 9/11 truth movement, was that everybody was afraid to say who was actually behind these events. Now, they would say, oh, it was Bush Cheney. And, of course, Dick Cheney played a central role in this. But they refused to take it a step further and say who else was involved in it. And, Tex, if we want to confront and conquer evil, we have to have the courage to specifically address evil. If we're afraid to say who did 9/11, who was behind it, then what good is it? We can't arrest the people that did it. We can't convict them. We can't imprison them. So we can't keep talking about vague concepts like, well, it was the New World Order, or it was the Illuminati, or the globalists, or the neocons. Of course, all these groups exist and so forth, but we have to put a face to evil. And I know, getting your newsletter for I don't know how many years now, you're one of the people out there that's not afraid to put a face to evil, and that's the only way that we can conquer it, because if we keep talking in these vague terms, then what that is it's rookie action, or it's minor league conspiracy theory, and that's not good enough for me, and I know it's not good enough for you. So we have to ask ourselves, why are we running a protection racket around Israel and refusing? If people are willing to say that elements within our government were responsible for 9/11, which they were, then why are we afraid to say that elements within the Israeli government were also involved? So that was the main reason why I wrote this book.
Well, I'm glad you did, Victor, because you're absolutely right. You know, I've read almost every book out there, and some of them are very fine. As you mentioned, they have information. They explain, why it had to be an implosion, why there had to be bombs planted, all kinds of technical things. I mean, we've had engineers, the scholars for 9/11, hundreds of, terrific people, and they all conclude it was an inside job. But then you ask, by who? But then they want to run away. And yes, when I've mentioned Israeli Mossad and some of the proof that you presented in your book, 9/11 Evil, on radio talk shows, I could tell them it's almost like a gasp. I took away their breath on the other side, of the radio. That they were frightened. They're scared to say these things. You remember General Zinni, the Marine general, along with the guy who was the famous author who wrote the book Red November and
Tom Clancy.
Yeah, Tom Clancy. Real good guys. Tom Clancy knows a lot about the